We have 2 more papers due at the rest of this semester, the Country Profile Paper 1 and 2. Country Profile Paper 1 is due Sunday, November 8th, and Paper 2 is due November 22nd. So, we're going to take a look at the syllabus to look at the description of this project. First of all, though, you want to choose a country other than the U.S. You cannot do the U.S. because we've already been studying the U.S. You're going to choose a country to cover for this project, and then you're going to review the different parts of this assignment in the syllabus so that you know all of the pieces of information that you're going to need to get. There is a resource down here in As You Learn in week 11 called the Environmental Performance Index. This might be helpful to you in selecting a country. You don't have to use this, but it's there if it helps you, and I'm going to talk about that in a little bit. But first, let's take a look at the syllabus. If we scroll down to page 7 of the syllabus, we get to the country profile assignment. So there are 3 parts to this project. The first is paper 1, the second is paper 2, and the third is a video presentation. So in paper 1, you'll be examining your country's evolution of a land ethic. And you can refer to chapter 4 in our textbook for what that means. You're going to discuss at least 3 important historical events or times that have impacted your country's management of natural resources, environment, and/or outdoor recreation. You want to provide enough detail for each point in history for how the land ethic and natural resource management have evolved over time. And this is worth 10 points. The second part then is to document the federal or national resource management agencies and authority. This was covered in chapter 5 in the textbook. You need to identify for this part 1 primary federal or national agency, something similar to our National Park Service, an agency that's responsible for managing natural or outdoor recreation resources. And then you're going to talk about 1 important federal regulator, something like our Environmental Protection Agency, that is responsible for enforcing environmental laws and overseeing regulation of natural resources. And then 1 governmental committee that is linked to the country's Congress or Parliament that deals with natural resources, environment, outdoor recreation, those things. And then the last part of paper 1 is to describe a law or statute that allows for citizen involvement in natural resource or outdoor recreation resource management. Now, a lot of times students find this part hard, to find a law that might be something similar to our National Environmental Policy Act, which gives citizens in the U.S. a right to comment on management plans and decision making. But you don't want to ignore this question. And this may be where you want to solicit some help from a research librarian. If you don't find a law, and most countries have some kind of law that somehow addresses this, even if it's tangentially, but if you don't find a law, you have to explain why you think the country doesn't have a law like this. What is it about the country's culture, history, or government that doesn't allow for this type of citizen involvement? Okay, then, and you can refer to chapter 16, these pages, for guidance. 8 points, we're going to take a quick look at the rubric. 8 points of this assignment is dedicated to grammar, spelling, complete sentences, and citations. Now, just like the Know Your Legislation, you are going to be putting this information question by question into a Google form. And that is also here in, may not have uploaded it yet, but I will provide it here in week 11. Okay, then we were looking at the country profile paper 1. So those are the parts of paper 1, which is worth a total of 40 points. Then paper 2 is worth 60 points. And in this paper, you will begin with describing 5 primary natural resource or environmental outdoor recreation issues and or controversies that the federal agencies and other important federal regulators are currently confronted with, what they're dealing with, okay? That is worth 10 points total. And then you're going to describe 5 citizen organizations. So these could be public interest groups, environmental groups, recreation user groups, special interests, pressure groups that are engaged in natural resource and outdoor recreation resource issues that may fall under any of the categories described in Chapter 14 of the textbook. So ideally, you're identifying and describing organizations that directly or indirectly interweave natural resources, environmental issues, and outdoor recreation in their causes. For example, Sierra Club, something like that. Those are worth 5 points each for a total of 25 points. And then for 3 of those organizations, you want to provide real-world examples of them using any of the methods and strategies identified in Chapter 17 in these pages. These are ways that citizen groups participate in natural resource management. You are to summarize what the citizen organization was involved in as it relates to outdoor recreation and natural resource management, what means it used to advocate for its cause, and as best you can describe the outcome of its efforts. So these are worth 4 points each. You're doing 3 of those real-world examples from any 3 of the 5 citizen organizations from here. Then lastly, you're going to explain your sense of how you think the country is doing overall concerning its management of natural and outdoor recreation resources and opportunities for citizens to get involved and make a difference. Again, the 8 points of the 60 points here will be for spelling, for citations, complete sentences, all of that. And once again, for this paper, you will also be putting it into a Google form. Then the last part of this whole project is to do a short presentation video, 5 to 7 minutes long, no more than 8 slides. Now, what I recommend is that you don't even worry about the presentation until you've completed your paper, because the presentation is taking parts of the paper. You won't have to do any extra research to put this presentation together. And you can go through each part of this and you're essentially pulling out pieces of your paper to cover what you need to cover in the presentation video. And again, that video is not due until, I think it's December 5th. So it's due after Thanksgiving. The 2 papers are due before Thanksgiving. Okay, so now you know you can come to the syllabus to find that description. Here is a rubric for Country Profile Paper 1. Here is the rubric for Country Profile Paper 2. And then here is the Environmental Performance Index, which is a website that evaluates different countries around 180 different countries around the world on how they're doing on environmental issues in their country. So we can see from this view that Denmark is at the top of, they get the highest ranking in the world from this Environmental Performance Index. Now, if you were to click on Denmark, you can then see specifically their scorecard. How is it that they attained that high of a ranking? Well, it is based on things like air quality, sanitation and drinking water, heavy metals, waste management, ecosystem vitality, all of these measures. You can see there are a lot of different ways to look at this website. Now, if we then go back to here, you can actually also look up a specific country this way if you want to do that, or you can also look for any country at any of these issues or measures to see how different countries did on those measures. Somewhere in here they have their methodology for the ranking. This is their environmental performance index score, and then this is a change over 10 years. So if you scroll down here, you can see this is the ranking. What I would recommend when you're choosing a country is probably not getting too far down on this list, because you may find that getting information for some of these, especially smaller countries, might be a little difficult to do. So, but you're welcome to, I have had people do Thailand and Peru and South Africa. I don't think, maybe that's it. And China. So whatever country you choose, just make sure that you're going to be able to find the information that you need to find. And like I've said in As You Learn Here, if you need assistance finding any information about your country, please seek help from a reference librarian, because they're really happy to help you. And sometimes finding a law that allows for citizen involvement is one of the parts that students seem to struggle with. So don't wait till the last minute. Get help early if you need it. And if you have a question, you can certainly send me an email.